In our headlines on this Monday, August 3rd, here in South Korea, President Lee Jae-myung returns home after a broad tour of the Americas, where he had an ambitious AI agenda with new agreements designed to bolster South Korea's trade, energy, and supply chain resilience. Meanwhile, also here at home, the mercury in capital Seoul is mounting, with the temperature soaring to 37 degrees Celsius on this Monday as the heat wave moves into the western part of the country. On the international front, after days of heightened tensions, U.S. President Donald Trump now says Washington and Tehran are returning to the dialogue table on Monday in a renewed effort to avoid further conflict. We start our newscast on this Monday with a recap of President Lee Jae-myung's two-leg tour of the Americas that sought an ambitious AI partnership strategy in Silicon Valley and secured new deals on critical minerals, trade and energy in South America. Our Blue House correspondent Yoon Jung-min walks us through the diplomatic events of the past week.
Kicking off his overseas trip in San Francisco, President Lee Jae-myung has announced the San Francisco AI Declaration, pledging to make South Korea an irreplaceable pillar of the global AI supply chain.
세계 최고 수준의 메모리 반도체 경쟁력과 생산 역량을 토대로 신뢰할 수 있는 AI 반도체 생산 기지이자 공급망 파트너가 될 것입니다.
The event was attended by big tech leaders, including NVIDIA's Jensen Huang, OpenAI's Sam Altman, Samsung's Lee Jae-yong, and SK's Choi Tae-won. Samsung and SK Hynix have announced AI cooperation plans with the global tech giants worth $950 billion, highlighting their partnership. The sentiment was extended into a dinner meeting.
우리는 친구다!
President Lee has also met 6 top venture capital firms in Silicon Valley, including Andreessen Horowitz, for broader South Korea-U.S. partnership in technology and startups. After wrapping up a series of major corporate events in the U.S., President Lee took a trip to key economic powers in South America for one-on-ones with his counterparts from Brazil, Chile, and Argentina.
With Brazil, we have signed a joint statement on critical and strategic minerals, including rare earths, for cooperation across the entire value chain. We also have signed MOUs with Chile, which owns the world's largest copper and lithium reserves, and Argentina, the world's 4th largest lithium reserves.
Following the Korea-Brazil summit, Lee and Lula have agreed to resume talks within the year to discuss the Korea-Mercosur trade agreement. Over in Santiago, the leaders of South Korea and Chile have agreed to resume their bilateral free trade commission to modernize the trade agreements after the ECOST summit. President Lee has also met with Argentine President Javier Milei. As a result of the talks, South Korea will begin introducing crude oil from Argentina next year as part of an effort to diversify energy supplies and reached an agreement to avoid double taxation.
Following a flurry of diplomacy in recent weeks involving the EU, G7, and NATO, President Lee's trip to the Americas centered on AI, trade, and supply chains in the face of a fast-changing global order. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News, Buenos Aires.
In other news now, as forecast, the mercury here in Seoul is mounting, with the temperature soaring to 37 degrees Celsius on this Monday afternoon. For better gauge of the conditions on the ground, I have my colleague Chung Hae-rim standing by live in the western part of the capital city. Hae-rim, welcome. So how hot is it there?
Hi, Sunny. I'm standing here at Yeouido Park, and all that I can say that it is indeed very hot here. The sun is beginning to lower in the sky, but the heat was and is still pretty intense, especially in open areas exposed directly in the sun. Seoul's temperature peaked at 37 degrees Celsius today on Monday, and the heat accumulated throughout the afternoon is still radiating from the roads and buildings. The heat was even more extreme in the southeastern city of Daegu. An automatic weather station in the city recorded 40.9 degrees Celsius this afternoon, marking the city's first reading above 40 degrees in 84 years. Temperatures also reached 39 degrees in Gwangju and other southern regions, while Daejeon and Cheongju climbed to around 37 degrees. Most other parts of the country also recorded highs in the mid-30s. Even at this hour, it's quite difficult even for a short walk outdoors, while many are staying inside air-conditioned buildings. Let's take a listen to some who experienced the scorching heat.
Well, it's incredibly hot. I'm completely sweating. It is way different from the UK where we're coming from.
Incredibly hot. I'm basically evaporating right now. I'm so sweaty. I'm probably going to become fully water at this point.
I'm sweating too much right now, and commute is tiring due to the heat.
Indeed, the commute back home can be painful during heat waves. Hedim, why is Seoul bearing the brutal brunt of the heat today, though?
Well, Sunny, one of the main reasons is the change of direction in winds. Easterly winds across the mountain ranges, and that means it moved towards the western parts of the country. As the air passed the mountains and descended on the western side, it became hotter and drier. The same phenomenon recently contributed to record-breaking temperatures in southeastern regions. But today, its strongest influence shifted westward, affecting areas including Seoul, Daejeon, and Gwangju.
Right, I see. And understandably, Hedim, I believe there has been a rise in heat-related incidents. Do tell us more.
Well, Sunny, the impact of the heat is becoming quite serious. It's not just hot weather, it's becoming dangerous to those even who are healthy. 96 heat-related illness causes were reported on Saturday alone, bringing this year's total to 1,889, including 14 deaths. More than 432,000 livestock and 165,000 farmed fish have also died amid the extreme heat. The government has activated Level 2 emergency operations. In Seoul, where 162 heat-related illnesses and 2 deaths have been reported, the city is expanding support for vulnerable residents and outdoor workers while extending cooler shelter operations and distributing ice water and cooling towels. Authorities are urging people to limit outdoor activity, drink plenty of water, and rest in cool places. That's all I have at Yeouido. Back to you, Sunny.
All right, Hedim, thank you so much for braving the heat to bring us this report. Meanwhile, even during the most extreme heat waves, there are workers out there who have little choice but to stay on the job to ensure that the rest of us can find some relief. Our Shin So-won covers that story.
The comforts and conveniences many take for granted are provided by the labor of someone else. The delivery man remains out on asphalt that's touching 40 degrees Celsius, while many enjoy a meal delivered to their air-conditioned home.
I usually work at least 12 hours a day. Delivery rates have fallen, so I have no choice but to work longer to earn enough to live.
As customers' ratings are based on speed, many riders pick up 2 orders at once to save time. Cooling vests and other heat protective gear are becoming more common, but due to high cost, not every rider has them.
In May, the government and 8 delivery platforms pledged to guarantee riders rest without penalty, but with rankings and pays. Still, depending on the number of orders, riders say it is merely impossible to take a break.
According to delivery platform operator U.S Brothers, orders placed by foreign customers more than quadrupled in just 1 year, while their total value rose 308%. With the rising popularity of K-delivery culture, for riders crossing the city under blazing sun, stopping work is deemed a rare option.
People may think delivery work is easy, but even 1 hour riding in this heat is tough. I hope they think about what riders endure.
Metalworkers laboring amid flying sparks are no exception. Amid temperatures in Seoul that climb to 34 degrees Celsius and tropical night advisories covering much of the country, most workers rely only on fans as air conditioning can stir up hazardous metal dust.
Even standing still, the heat is unbearable, and welding makes it worse. By morning, my eyes are sore and watering, and my whole body aches.
While welding demands exceptional precision and skill, heat from steel plates and welding equipment pushes the feel-like indoor temperatures higher.
The heat reaches around 3,000 degrees. Without a welding mask, you can suffer severe burns and eye pain.
As of 2026, the number of workers whose heat-related illnesses were recognized as occupational injuries has risen nearly sixfold over the past 5 years. Authorities are now urging workers to stay hydrated and requiring employers to provide a 20-minute break every 2 hours. 신소은, Arirang News.
Also on the local front, Seoul has been tapped as the favorite city of global millennial and Gen Z travelers for the 5th year in a row. According to the Seoul Metropolitan Government and the Seoul Tourism Organization, the city won the favorite worldwide city award at the 2026 Trezees presented by the U.S.-based travel media outlet Trezee Travel. Having topped the same category every year since 2022, Seoul also received a separate award granted to winners that claimed the title for 5 straight years. Pundits believe the recognition reflects Seoul's appeal beyond traditional tourist attractions, as many foreign visitors now seek authentic local experiences at Seoul's vibrant neighborhoods and through its food, fashion, and everyday life. And now, forget the tour bus. More foreigners are discovering Seoul after lacing up their running shoes to join running crews that combine sightseeing, fitness, and friendship. Our Park Chae-ryung joined them.
Runners from different parts of the world gather along the Hangang River in Seoul. They're not here just to exercise, but to experience the city one step at a time. 7 runners form a circle for a group warm-up. Together, they stretch and loosen up before the morning run. For these runners, exploring Seoul does not mean taking a tour bus. It means putting on their running shoes and hitting the road.
So I arrived in South Korea about 5 months ago, so South Korea is still quite new for me. And running is such a great way to explore South Korea and everything it has to offer. And it's also so safe as well. The paths are well maintained, and that's why I love it so much.
We started with a couple of foreigners, and as they began bringing their friends, more and more international runners joined. Now, we run along the Han River together and often hang out afterward.
As they run along the Hangang River, Seoul's bridges, skyline, and riverside parks unfold around them. They move side by side, chatting and laughing along the way. The route lets them discover details of the city they might otherwise miss.
Running alone can be exhausting, but when I run with other people, we can talk along the way, explore new routes, and enjoy Korea's scenery more deeply.
After completing the 4-kilometer course, the runners are all smiles, cheering as runner's high kicks in. One runner's watch shows 7 kilometers, including an extra 3 completed before the group run.
I went running with my friends here who I've met living in Seoul together. I met them through running on the Han River, spending the weekends together, accomplishing our goals, pushing our heart rates, and making fun memories. So I'm really glad to have them in my life and to be able to run with them.
As more foreigners look for active ways to explore Seoul, K-running is expected to become even more popular. Park Chae-ryung, Arirang News.
After days of heightened tensions, U.S. President Donald Trump now says Washington and Tehran are returning to the dialogue table on Monday in a renewed effort to avoid further conflict. Our Kim Jun-ong has the latest.
U.S. President Donald Trump says negotiations with Iran will resume on Monday afternoon. Speaking aboard Air Force One on Sunday, Trump said the two sides would engage in the form of a negotiation.
Well, now what we're doing is we're talking to them in the form of a negotiation. It begins tomorrow afternoon, and we'll see if it's short.
The president added that a deal on the Strait of Hormuz would come first, followed by Iran's denuclearization. In a Truth Social post on Saturday, he said progress in negotiations had prompted him to hold back the strike. Trump said Iran, as well as allies including Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar, had asked him to hold off on any attack after the perimeters of a deal had been agreed. According to Trump, the proposed deal would require the immediate reopening of the Strait of Hormuz and an end to Iran's nuclear threat. Reports over the weekend suggested the U.S. and Israel were weighing strikes on Iran's energy targets. But Saudi Arabia may also have played a role in preventing the strikes, with the nation's state news agency saying Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman urged Trump to de-escalate the conflict during a phone call on Saturday. Trump later confirmed the conversation, telling reporters on Sunday that the Crown Prince would much prefer a deal as opposed to an attack. Yet Iran denied Trump's claim that Tehran had asked Washington to refrain from launching new strikes. State media dismissed the allegation as nothing but a new lie, insisting Iran's position on the Strait of Hormuz remains unchanged. It also said the country's armed forces were on high alert and ready for any eventuality. Meanwhile, Iran's official news agency IRNA, citing Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, reported on Sunday that negotiations with Oman over the Strait of Hormuz were in their final stages. Kim Junho, Arirang News.
Back here at home, South Korea has officially disbanded its Defense Counterintelligence Command, replacing it with 3 separate entities in a sweeping overhaul aimed at preventing political abuse of military intelligence. Our defense correspondent Park Gonu reports.
The Defense Counterintelligence Command has officially been dissolved, with its 3 core functions now divided among separate organizations. The newly established Defense Counterintelligence Agency will take charge of counterintelligence, while the Defense Security Support Group will handle military security. Security investigations will be carried out by a new unit under the Defense Ministry's Security Investigation Group. The overhaul has been a key government priority, driven by fierce public backlash over the agency's involvement in former President Yoon Suk-yeol's December 2024 martial law decree. Those reform efforts culminated Monday in Gwacheon, where Defense Minister An Kyu-baek hosted the official launch ceremony for the new Defense Counterintelligence Agency.
What we're leaving behind today is the dark past of a counterintelligence agency that strayed away from its original mission and became a tool of those in power, ultimately leading up to the December 3rd insurrection. We've worked with painful resolve to root out these long-standing practices.
The Defense Ministry expressed confidence that the launch marks a major turning point, ending the era of an agency once abused as a political power tool and replacing it with an organization built on public trust. Officials added that the agency will bolster its response to foreign espionage and terrorist threats from North Korea. Its mandate will also expand to safeguard advanced technologies like AI while providing critical security support for defense industry projects, including U.S. Navy ship maintenance and overhaul. The Defense Security Support Group will focus exclusively on military security, conducting audits and investigating security breaches. Meanwhile, the new investigation unit will target national security crimes, including espionage and leaks of military secrets. Practices that repeatedly sparked controversy under the former command, such as political surveillance of military personnel and improper intelligence gathering, have been permanently abolished. While concerns linger over potential operational gaps during the transition, the Defense Ministry emphasized that all 3 organizations will closely share intelligence and collaborate on security investigations. Park Gonu, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, a historic U.S.-Japan currency intervention has brought the yen back from a 4-decade low while offering some relief to the South Korean currency. Our Park Jun-han explains.
In a rare move, the U.S. Treasury recently sold euros to purchase Japanese yen. Meanwhile, the Japanese government sold U.S. dollars to buy its own currency. This marks the first coordinated market intervention by the 2 countries in 15 years, and the first such case in 28 years in which the U.S. has bought Japanese yen. In 2011, following a massive earthquake in Japan, yen was sold to buy U.S. dollars, effectively preventing the yen from becoming too strong against the dollar. This time, the 2 sides took action after the yen recently fell past the 164 yen per dollar level, hitting its lowest level in 40 years. As of Monday, 3:30 p.m. Korean time, the dollar was trading at around 156 yen. Following the move, Japanese officials stressed their readiness to continue defending the currency.
Japan's Ministry of Finance is closely monitoring the situation and remains in close communication with the U.S. Treasury Department. We will not hesitate to conduct further coordinated intervention if necessary.
The reason behind the coordinated action lies in the U.S. bond market. To defend the yen on its own, Japan would normally sell off its massive holdings of U.S. treasuries. Since Japan is the largest foreign holder of American government debt, a massive sell-off would cause U.S. interest rates to spike. That would mean higher borrowing costs for Americans, something Washington would want to avoid. Through their coordinated actions, the two countries were able to protect the economic interests of both nations.
Because we have a good relationship with Japan, we're very strong, very, very strong financially. They have a weakening yen, and they wanted a little bit of help, and we're always there for Japan.
This could also provide indirect relief to Korea, which has been grappling with a weak currency. The Korean won tracks the Japanese yen closely, meaning a stronger yen could also boost the won's value. In a related development, Korean and Japanese foreign exchange authorities last Thursday reportedly sold U.S. dollars in the market following a rate check by U.S. authorities. The move helped the Korean won climb to a 9-month high against the dollar. 박준환, Arirang News.
This is the world now. Spanish officials say at least 72 people died in last week's mass crossing into Ceuta, Spain's enclave on the Moroccan coast. This comes as 5 more bodies washed ashore on Sunday. More than 50,000 people rushed the border by land and sea beginning Thursday last week. Some drowned. Others were crushed trying to climb a breakwater and a border fence. Morocco's Interior Ministry puts its own toll at 11 and says it is still verifying reports from the Spanish side. Since then, nearly all of those who crossed the border have gone back to Morocco. Following the incident, 22 European member governments signed a letter demanding coordinated action on external borders. Italy suspended passport-free travel with Spain for 1 month. OPEC and other oil-producing nations on Sunday announced they will pump more oil starting next month. OPEC Plus will allow a total increase in production of roughly 190,000 barrels per day. This latest step finishes unwinding a cut of 1.65 million barrels that the group first agreed to back in 2023. In practice, this year's increases have barely reached the market. Wars involving Iran and Ukraine have disrupted exports out of the Gulf, Russia, and Kazakhstan. The 7 core members are to meet again September 6th. In Greece, 2 firefighting helicopters collided in midair west of Athens on Sunday, causing 1 helicopter to crash. The helicopter's Danish pilot and a Greek fire service officer were killed. The other aircraft made an emergency landing. The fire they were fighting has destroyed more than 100 homes. Investigators believe sparks from a private power line serving wind turbines started the fire. 2 people have been arrested on suspicion of negligence. Chu Jae-hyun, Arirang News.
Starting today, the wind pattern is shifting, and that's going to bring some serious heat to Seoul and much of the western side of the country. Heat warnings are in place across much of the country, and the highest level heat alerts have expanded to parts of the Gyeongsang-do and Jeollanam-do provinces. In those areas, it felt like 38 degrees Celsius or even hotter. And unfortunately, tropical nights will continue in many areas. We'll also have some pop-up showers as the atmosphere becomes more unstable. Between late afternoon and evening, parts of southern Gangwon-do and Chungcheongbuk-do provinces could pick up around 5 to 10 millimeters of rain. Seoul has now had 12 straight tropical nights, and tomorrow morning will still start at around 27, while Daejeon and Daegu will be at around 26 degrees. Then by the afternoon, Seoul and Daejeon will get up to 37 degrees, and Busan will be at around 34 degrees. Looking ahead, Seoul could stay right around 37 degrees through Friday. Now here's a look at the weather around the world.
Right, those are the headlines at this hour here in South Korea. As always, thank you for watching.